Hello, welcome back to Shit Just Got Real.
We have a name.
That's the name of our podcast. I know, other podcasts have names. We thought it would be good if we had a name as well. We're here to talk about films. And who's seen a film this week?
I want to go first.
Go for it.
Because I saw Mindhorn and it was brilliant. So it's a British film made by Julian Barrett and Simon Farnaby, who are the guys from Mighty Boosh, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
They're brilliant. And I was listening to an interview and they said they got their inspiration from Galaxy Quest, and it's totally accurate. So the premise is that there was a detective show in the 1980s called Mindhorn with a guy who was in some war, I can't remember. He got kidnapped by the enemy and they gave him an eye that meant he could see the truth.
Hey.
That in itself is genius. The film starts with him becoming involved in a police investigation into a murder, and he has to become the character again, but it's 20 years later and he's an out-of-work actor who tried to make it in Hollywood and failed. It's just wonderful. It's like Hot Fuzz meets Alan Partridge. That's where it sits. It's just so funny.
Seeing the trailer, it looked very Partridge.
Well, I mean, it's got Steve Coogan in it, so it couldn't. I mean,
Right.
he's just wonderful in the part, though. Julian Barrett plays Mindhorn, and he's just wonderfully arrogant throughout. Just fantastic. But the star, in my opinion, the star of the show was Russell Tovey.
Really?
Yeah,
Russell Tovey's in it?
He's in it. He's from Being Human, and there was.
He was in Grammars.
He was in The Pass.
The Past. That was the one I was trying to remember. The Past.
Doctor Who and
Yes, he's just
the Pirates and Adventure with Scientists.
exactly.
Lots of movies. There's
Is that
the Aardman movie. Yeah.
He's been about for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays the murder suspect, and it's wonderful. He's the one that drags Mindhorn into the whole thing. He says, "I won't talk to the police. I'll only talk to Mindhorn." And he is the one that, and he's wonderful in the main role. But there's so many brilliant cameos, so many brilliant performances, and it's funny. It's funny throughout. It's stupid funny and it's clever funny, and that's my favourite kind of funny.
That's
I'll stop saying funny.
That's what Julian Barrett's good at. Really.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
you were talking about how wonderfully arrogant he is. That was his shtick in the Mighty Boosh.
Exactly, and that's why he's so perfect in this part. And him and Simon Farnaby wrote it together, and they've got their timing down. It's very
playing
good.
to their strengths.
Yeah,
Absolutely. This does sound like the sort of logical extension of where you take like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
I was going to bring up Garth Marenghi and also Nathan Barnett as well.
Yeah.
Nathan Barley. Barnett is the guy who plays Nathan Barley, isn't it? Something Barnett.
I didn't finish Nathan Barley. I saw
it's tough to watch. It's so
the first
awkward.
couple episodes, and I was like, "Oh, is this for me?" I don't know.
Yeah, but
I
Julian
barely got on with the Mighty Boosh at first.
It's a bit weird. To be honest,
I
I
think the Mighty Boosh walks that line of being weird and funny, whereas this isn't quite that far down the spectrum. It is weird and funny, but it's not like Boxing Kangaroo weird and funny. It's a much more normal.
Yeah.
It fits.
It's more accessible.
Yeah. Well, also it's naturalistic. It fits in. You can believe everything that happens in it.
They're not going to go to the
Boosh-
planet Jamboree.
Exactly.
Very much Noel Fielding's
You're not
influence,
going to
wasn't
get
it?
the moon talking at you. That's not going to happen in this film. It's much more naturalistic, and it's enjoyably human throughout.
I did see one review that was like what Johnny English should have been.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed Johnny English as well, but I think
for what it was,
for what it was fine, exactly. But I think this is much more cult niche British brilliant.
Yeah. Cool.
That's where I've put it. In that box.
This thing is like destined for sort of cult fandom, I think.
Yeah, these British limited release ones generally are, aren't they? I mean, yeah, I didn't
Nowhere
have a
to take
point.
that.
No. Yeah, I was hoping.
I'm hoping it gets a wide release because they showed it at the London Film Festival back in September. They had the premiere last week. It's out on Friday, and Odeon are actually including it in their go and see 3 films, see the third for 3 thing.
All right.
So I'm hoping it's not going to be as big as some of the other major releases coming up. But I'm hoping everybody in the UK goes and sees it because it's really funny.
Yeah.
And Essie Davis is in it as well, is that
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
From the Babadook.
From Babadook, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a TV version of Sweeney Todd from 2004 with Ray
She's
Winstone.
in that?
Yeah.
I had, honestly, like, I saw the Babadook and thought she was incredible in it. And I haven't seen her in anything
She's
since.
really, really good.
Yeah.
She is brilliant, and it's got some. I'm not going to actually tell you who the cameos are, but there's some really brilliant little cameos in there as well. Yeah, excellent.
You always do in these British comedies.
I'm not going to answer that.
You're not going to answer?
I'm not going to answer
Okay.
that.
All right.
These British movies always do have excellent cameos.
Yeah.
They had all the Edgar Wright movies and Callum
Everyone knows
Partridge.
each other in this
Yeah.
sort of world. It's awesome.
It's all
Yeah.
incestuous.
Incestuous.
Yeah, that's what they say about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that word works.
Yeah.
And it's like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It's exactly like Game of Thrones.
No, like Game of Thrones really is like a who's who of like jobbing British actors
And Essie Davis.
and incest.
Yeah.
Who's Essie Davis in Game of Thrones?
She is Lady Crane in season 6.
Oh god,
I didn't get that far.
I can't remember who Lady Crane is, but okay.
No.
The actress who develops a strong, sort of a friendship with Arya Stark.
Yes, okay.
I'm not going to spoil season 6
No,
of Game of
let's leave
Thrones
it
for
at
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair enough.
But I suppose if you care, you've seen it by now. But
I'm just gonna. So I don't really want to say much more about it because I don't want to spoil it because you all have to go and watch it. But there was one really brilliant line. I went to sit with a couple of friends, and it was the one that they keep repeating. I'll laugh at that later. That's so good. It's just a wonderful line, and I plan on using it in everyday life.
Cool.
that sounds good.
Nice. What else have we seen?
Well, going back to people from Johnny English. Daniel Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya.
He was in
Johnny
Johnny
the
English
second
Reborn.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the second one.
No,
That'll be
he
why.
did.
No. Gillian Anderson as well, was she?
Yes, she was.
And Dominic West. Anyway,
yeah.
We've just talked about British actors constantly getting in each other's work.
Get Out. You saw Get Out.
I saw Get Out Tuesday before last over at the Cube, and it was a really great idea because it was a big crowd, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Yeah, but so for those of you who don't know, Get Out is a film which Daniel Kaluuya plays just this regular guy. He's dating Alison Williams from Girls, and and they've been dating for 4 months, and she takes him on a weekend away to see her very upper middle class, like socially liberal parents who do not know that their daughter is dating a black guy.
Mm.
And he immediately knows that there are going to be problems, and because the dad is very much an overcompensating guy, constantly talking about how he would have voted for Obama a third time, and it starts to evolve from creepy leaning into how fond they are of black culture to an almost predatory sort of thing. And are we at the stage where we're like cool spoiling this?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say wait until quite a lot of people do wait for DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Good.
And streaming.
It is the kind of thing I wouldn't feel comfortable spoiling for anyone.
No.
It's
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But the direction it goes in, like even I wasn't expecting where it was going to go. Like I knew it was going to go into like into aspects of racism and how even when we as white people are trying to be nice and talking about like, loving basketball and jazz, it's only just serving to remind black people that we see them more as races than as people.
Puts up signs for barriers, kind of thing.
It's constantly telegraphing the difference there. but it's really good. Like really standout turns from Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener as the parents.
Keener was really scary in that.
Yeah, it's crazy just how quickly she can snap to being like creepy.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen that from her at all. Like the thing, what I knew her most for was honestly the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, me too.
But she's the main woman in that, right?
She is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's in Step Brothers as well. Will Ferrell?
No, I don't think she was.
No?
I think that was... I can't remember her name. But I don't think that was her.
All right.
She was in Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
as well.
But she tends to play nice, friendly,
Yeah,
mother-type
generally.
women.
Where the Wild Things Are, she was the mother
Oh,
in
yeah,
that.
of course she was. Yeah.
yeah. She is usually playing the mom in things.
Yeah.
And now we
she's
know
good.
she can turn on a dime.
Oh,
Or a
the
teacup.
crazy mum.
Yeah, I mean, like Bradley Whitford, we sort of always knew he could be creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
As hilarious as he is
was
in that.
And he's very funny here as well. Get Out is a very
He really
funny
is,
film.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
And also character actor Stephen Root, who
Yes.
can do comedy like astoundingly well.
That's a really weird thing, isn't it? When you cast comedy actors in sort of villainous roles.
Yeah.
But it works so well. Like Michael
does.
Palin in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say about, as an actor, if you can do comedy, you can do anything, because comedy is the hardest thing to do as an actor.
It requires a very deep level of emotional intelligence, really,
Yeah.
I think.
And that's why some of the best, Robin Williams, Steve Carell, they've all done phenomenal
Jim Carrey
dramatic
as well.
performances.
I was just about to ask, do you think that depends on the type of comedy? But I guess you're right. Jim Carrey can do it.
Yeah.
And his comedy is...
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
His comedy is dire.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Very broad.
It's broad and it's quite young humour. Like it's
Juvenile.
juvenile. That's
Yeah.
the word I was looking for.
Yeah, but that's why a lot of the times you'll get comedians playing very pathetic villains. Like you think of Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah, he's terrifying. And again, in Insomnia.
Mm.
Same kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, his impotent rage drives him to
Yes.
kill a teenage girl. It's really nasty movie.
And Jim Carrey shows some of that in the number 23, which was not a good film at all. But he was alright in it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like really standout villain turns for Jim Carrey. All I'm coming up with is Batman and Robin and Cable Guy.
Series of Unfortunate Events as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have a soft spot for that film.
I quite like that film as well.
I love it.
It's
Yeah.
really
I love
good.
those books.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about Get Out.
We were talking
Yes.
about Get
We
Out,
were.
yes.
Yeah, we've just
Massively off topic.
Yeah, it's a really good film. I mean, it doesn't consistently work. I think there are some choices to do with like the soundtrack that don't really establish a consistent tone. It always seems to be veering between sort of outlandish, gross out comedy and straight up horror, but that's the kind of thing Sam Raimi can make work.
Well, the best horror is also very funny as well. I mean, you said about how you saw it in a crowded screening, which is the best environment to watch horror in.
True.
I remember going to see, of all things, The Orphanage, which is, a very, very quite creepy movie, but there's always that sort of group jump, and then you laugh about it afterwards because you're like, look how much that got to me. So it's, there is a very fine line between comedy and horror. Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson both walk it brilliantly, and I think Jordan Peele has also done it really excellently with Get Out.
I agree.
That's fair enough. I think it probably could use a bit of refinement, but
Absolutely, it's his first film.
I know. I mean, I know there are better examples, but the Sam Raimi one I always come back to is Drag Me to Hell, which is a ridiculous film at times, but the moments of like building of tension are like nerve-wracking,
really effective.
and I almost never felt quite like that in Get Out. It's always more just a being unnerved rather than like edge of my seat waiting for a heart attack.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, Sam and I saw Get Out together.
Hmm.
And I agree that I think the moments of levity really helped the film for me. But honestly, a lot of your problems with it, I really didn't find. It consistently worked for me, and I thought it tapped into a sort of this social horror, this sense of dread that like Jordan Peele has talked openly about like his influences in terms of like Stepford Wives and Rosemary's Baby, and that's the kind of horror that Get Out instilled in me. It was very much sort of like, okay, now I'm afraid of my surroundings, and I don't really trust the people around me, and like that's why I thought it was so effective, because I so rarely feel that, and I haven't really in years. And
I completely agree. It is sort of less the fear of these people are going to kill me. It's the sort of rising, I don't want to be thought of as rude. That sort of, it starts out like that, and then just sort of they amplify and just sort of push that as far as it can go until you are the final drop.
And Jordan Peele has said that. Like I've seen some interviews with him where he's talked about how he obviously always pisses him off in horror movies about how characters have opportunities to leave, and it makes every sense in the world to leave, and they don't. And what I feel like he achieved with Get Out is that you totally understand why he doesn't get out.
Yeah.
And because every opportunity is just like he's terrified of being impolite, and every little red flag that is raised where it's like, this isn't right, there's something wrong here, it's always explained in such a way that you're just like, that's kind of plausible, and I kind of should be here. It's you're right. It's fear of being polite, being impolite. That
it's sort of so awkward that you're really on edge.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I know it's it's an issue because if it had ever veered into overt horror circumstances, then he would just get out.
Yeah.
So does that mean, I've not seen this film, but does that mean the moral of the story is be rude? Because if so, that sounds like quite a good film.
Yeah, definitely. Be rude because white people fetishize the hell out of you.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it works on misogyny, transphobia as well, and it's sort of if someone I sort of would be in a position where you're like, this person's asking me about my genitals, isn't this awkward?
That's what I found so wonderful about it, is that it was incredibly truthful, because I think with a premise like that, it would have been so easy for them to rock up at the house to see the swastika come down over the front, and they would have been neo-Nazi skinheads, and they didn't go that route. It was much more truthful, and it was much more, he's very welcome here, they're very pleasant, but then just like the weird, like when they have some, like, not a spoiler, when they have some family over, and then he's hugging his girlfriend, and then an aunt comes over and is just like, so she whispers to her, just like, so is it true what they say? Long pause. What? Just like, is it better? And it's just that kind of what?
That's the thing. You can't really do that with like sort of the swastika Klansman kind of guys. That's really only a thing that more socially liberal white people do. It's going back to the fetishization thing, like with the asshole brother saying to him, it's like, you should be in MMA with like your genes and your body type. He's deconstructing him down to his physical parts.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that the male gaze does to women.
Yeah, it's very much the sort of how people of privilege react to a situation. Like, oh, come on, I'm on your side. Don't be like that. I didn't mean it in a bad way. It's just it's sort of that type of reaction is what sort of people would react to in that way. So many people, me being as a straight white man with absolutely
we're the least qualified group of people to discuss this film.
So anyway, but
I think it's interesting that you guys were comparing it to Drag Me to Hell and Cabin in the Woods and films like that, because those sorts of films are very much, they go to a scary place and scary things happen, or stupid, like, it's not there's no naturalism to it. I'm talking about naturalism again. But, like, this film seems very much like it's taken the ordinary and put that unnerving edge to it, which seems to be a different direction, a different sort of horror to the other films you were comparing it to. And I was trying to think of other modern horror films that I could think of that fit into that category, and I can only think of Korean and Japanese movies that do that. So I think it's quite exciting and interesting.
It gets silly. It goes to some silly places, but it's grounded in such harsh truth. In that, especially us as white folk going to see this film, forces us to look at it in ourselves. Just like, oh God, have I ever acted like that? Like,
it's challenging.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And it never gets like unnatural, but it does get pretty audacious. Like, all of the scenes with his TSA buddy are just incredibly outlandish, but brilliant.
I think outrageous is fine. I just think that it sounds like this is a film that starts in a normal place and slowly kind of unravels. Rather than them driving to a cabin in the woods, or them jumping into an abandoned lake, or going to a haunted house, or
there's no
kind of they're doing something stupid.
The horror is very much about beneath the ordinariness of it all. It's David Lynch kind of stuff.
White picket fence kind of.
The horror beneath suburbia.
Exactly.
Sounds terrifying. I'm going to have to watch it.
Do it.
Fantastic.
It's very good.
Watch it.
It's like we saw it in February, was it?
Yeah, it was an advanced screening. It was screen unseen.
That we saw, and we saw that, and instantly it was like, aside from maybe Guardians 2, which we'll talk about later, it's probably my favourite film of the year so far. I think for me, definitely.
Yeah.
So what have I seen? What was I going to talk about?
Mad Max.
Mad Max. I was lucky enough to see Mad Max Fury Road Black and Chrome re-release, which was in cinemas for one lovely day. I say lucky enough. I didn't like it. Honestly, so in the early development stages of Fury Road, George Miller wanted to release the film in black and white, and can kind of see why, I guess. Like, it's an interesting idea, and when I heard about it, I was very excited. I thought, yes, it's going to be so cool. I'm going to get to see it, and it's just a different way of viewing the film, and it very much is. Got there, sat down, film started, saw the Warner Brothers logo in black and white, and the how it sort of turns. For people who have seen Fury Road, it's awesome. Seeing that in black and white is very shiny, and black and chrome is apt. And it looked cool, and I was like, oh, awesome, this is going to be really cool. And then it goes to that opening shot of, Max stood on the hill looking out over the desert, the interceptor just behind him, and you see that lizard, and then he stamps on the lizard and picks it up and eats it.
Are you going to describe the entire movie?
No, I'm not going to describe the entire movie. I'm describing my feelings, how I felt about the film in this, it represented how I would overall feel about the film, this opening. Seeing that, watching them eat the lizard, and just like, oh, cool, that looks cool. And then I thought for a second and thought, that looks cooler in colour. That looks so much cooler in colour, because it's such a striking, gorgeous image that, and just throughout, the colours of the film are just remarkable. Like, it's really visually gorgeous. And there were moments of that throughout the entire film, to the point where I just kind of, I got to the end and was like, why? Like, why? I just fundamentally do not understand why that was a thing that needed to happen. It came off as gimmicky, and I appreciated it. Sort of throughout the film, there were moments where I was like, "Oh, cool, that looks cool," but then it just, especially in the big action scenes, of which there are many, in the big climax particularly, I was just wishing that I was seeing it in colour. Really. And, it was cool to see it on the big screen, but it felt like an ultimately pointless experiment. And, God, I love that film, though. It was so annoying to me, because I love that film. It's amazing. So for those who haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, do you want to give a brief, Oh, yeah. Mad Max Fury Road was the fourth Mad Max film. George Miller's, series, initially starring Mel Gibson, as the Road Warrior, he was a cop, and it is a it's post-apocalyptic Australia, and
now we don't have a racist bastard in the role.
Yeah, now we don't. Now we have Tom Hardy, who is fucking brilliant. He's really good. And so he was a cop, and this is post-apocalyptic Australia, muscle cars, and weird mutated clans, and action, and it's cool. They're fun movies. Fury Road, I would say, is the best one.
I don't think anyone would challenge you on that.
No,
worldwide.
Yes, exactly.
Except maybe some
Yes.
vocal internet people.
Because it's amazing. It works as a mindless action film, and it works as a thrilling takedown of the patriarchy. Because it centers on. It's really not Max's movie. It centers on Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, who is an imperator, which is basically a general for Immortan Joe, who is this evil warlord who looks like a cross between Jabba the Hutt and Darth Vader. And basically he rules over this sort of citadel where, he's got people dying and starving and all of that kind of thing. And he lives in this gigantic citadel and, monopolizes the water and, he has, a handful of wives, 5 wives, which he calls breeders. He has war boys who are, sickly, deathly pale, skinny young men with shaved heads, and they're painted white, and they've all got tumours on them, and they're all dying, and he uses them as, they're his war boys. And, so he's just a royal piece of shit. And Charlize Theron's Furiosa betrays him and takes his wives to just escape. And she takes them across country, and Joe follows. And in the middle of all this is Max. Max is just caught. He's used as a blood bag for one of the war boys, strapped onto the front of a car. And then he breaks out and ends up helping Furiosa. And they go to this place, and then they go back. And the entire film is a long car chase. And it's awesome. It's just absolutely fantastic. It has so much to say about, as I was saying, the patriarchy. It's an incredibly feminist film. It's incredible.
I think as a proud feminist, I'd say it's more than a feminist film because it takes on that kind of ecological threat as well. It's all about the importance of water, the importance of plant life, the beauty of the natural growing, what have you, and the hideousness of all the chrome and smog and fog and everything.
Not just men. It's not like men are the villain here. It's greed. It's corruption.
It's
and
greed in every sense.
Yeah, like the repeated line is "Who killed the world?" And it's obviously the implication is that we killed the world. Humanity killed the world. This is our fault. And it's very much about how the inherent problems with who we are as a species, and deals with big themes for a mindless summer action film. It's not mindless at all. It's very smart. It's very intelligent, and it's got a lot of heart to it, and the score is incredible. Junkie XL score is just so good. There's very little about that film that doesn't work.
Except the black and white.
Except the black and white, yes.
It's beautiful. I can't imagine it in black and white.
Yeah,
Some of the colours in it are extraordinary.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it was extraordinary to look at. And it seems like this is going to be a trend now that, especially, big films, especially cult films that are sort of unexpected hits, they're going to get a re-release. Like James Mangold has just said that Logan is going to be re-released in black and white now. Yeah. He's going to do one of those. And it's just sort of, why though? It's a nice little stylistic flourish that doesn't hold up for the film's entire runtime. Because it's a fun little experiment that just, I don't want to see a black and white re-release of Logan.
I mean, if at all, put it as an extra on the Blu-ray. The Mist did that. Have sort of a separate disc with the movie in black and white.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are people out there who saw Mad Max Black and Chrome, or maybe bought the Black and Chrome Blu-ray and thought it was amazing. I'm not one of them. It felt pointless to me. That's my main takeaway. Just what was the point?
you'd think that if it worked in black and white, then that would have been the original release.
Exactly.
There's definitely a choice not to do that.
Yeah, again, it's not that it didn't work, because it's still an incredibly impressive film. But it just, having seen the original in colour 3 times in the cinema and a shit ton at home, because it's a film I can never get sick of. It just looks so much better. It's such an impressive film in every respect, and yeah, the black and white it just took away from that in some way.
It's like if the black and white isn't going to add anything significant to the film, why do it?
Yeah, like something like the only recent release that I can think may benefit in some way, or maybe more interesting to see in black and white, would be La La Land, I would say. Because, like, again, that's a visually gorgeous film, but it would be interesting for me to see it in black and white, because that is so clearly the sort of black and white musicals of the golden age of Hollywood, its influences. And I just think, yeah, that I would maybe want to see. But again, that's not something I'm,
and I argue with that, because I think that actually a lot of the influences for that film come from the colour age rather than the black and white.
Yeah.
You quote Singing in the Rain, but it's actually a lot later, like, I can't think of any of them now, but much more of the Audrey Hepburn era.
That's Entertainment.
Later.
Yeah.
Yes, that kind of, it's not, it thinks it's Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, but it's not, it's later than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all colour, so it works in colour, and the bright dresses and the dance sequences.
It does. That was me reaching, trying to think of just like what film would this be necessary for? Would this feel right? And Mad Max and Logan, sure, fine,
maybe.
I guess. But after seeing Black and Chrome, I'm not going to see a re-release of Logan in black and white at all. I'm not going to bother with that. And I don't think you necessarily should either, unless that sounds like your kind of thing. Unless you're an absolute purist and you feel like I'm a purebred fan of cinema, and I want to experience this film in this way. Filmmakers decided that this is something worth our time, so I'm going to see it. But I went into that with Fury Road, and not for me. Basically.
All right.
So yeah, Sam, what have you watched?
I rewatched Star Wars Rogue One, because
Sorry.
All right, fuck you. Because I saw it at the cinema, and really enjoyed it, but did think, I think it was one of these ones where you think, I think I need to see it again to just get a second, maybe third viewing, just to really sort of let my thoughts settle. And having watched it a second time, I can confirm that I think Star Wars Rogue One is fucking brilliant.
Which one's Rogue One?
Rogue One is the most recent one, and it's the first in the new Star Wars tales. Basically, it's aside from the main saga about the Skywalkers and the Jedi and everything. This is
Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story.
So it's not Episode 8. It's
No. It is set between Star Wars Episode 3 and Star Wars Episode 4. So it's going back to the Empire as the villains, but it's not about Jedi. It is about a young woman called Jyn Erso. I'm not going to go into characters' names actually, because they're Star Wars names, and it's they're stupid sci-fi fantasy names. As much as I love Star Wars, let's not understate that. But Felicity Jones is a young woman whose father is one of the big architects of the Death Star. And he's taken away, and her mother is killed when she's a little girl, and she's taken in by Forrest Whitaker, who is this sort of terrorist extremist, but on the rebel side. And this is what I sort of really like about Star Wars Rogue One, is that it's showing a side of the Rebel Alliance that you don't see in the original trilogy. The original trilogies, we're the rebels, we're going to go take down the Empire. I don't know why they're from the South in my weird anecdote.
That's how you remember it.
Yeah, it must be. Luke's a farm boy, and and it's showing a side of the Star Wars universe that you haven't seen on screen before. Jyn Erso is she sort of falls in with a group of sort of rebels scum, but good. But you know, they're the good guys, but they're not the good
scum.
Yeah, they're not the good guys that you would see in a normal Star Wars movie. They do underhanded deals, and they kill people when they need to keep them quiet, and they do what has to be done for the sake of, it's sort of one man's freedom fighter as another man's terrorist, and it's really good. Struggling to sort of gather my thoughts on it, and so basically they sort of come up with this sort of a piece of information falls in their laps that could potentially lead to the downfall of the Death Star, and I think we've got to seize on this, and that's sort of where the movie sort of unfolds from that point, shall we say. And like I said, it is showing a side of the Star Wars universe that hasn't been seen on screen before. It felt like one of the Star Wars novels or one of the Star Wars games that, many people sort of would have, I'm sure, read and played and seen nasty, horrible characters that you wouldn't see on the, in a family-oriented Star Wars movie, but possibly would have, played in Knights of the Old Republic or read about in Darth Plagueis or any of the
I actually
things.
think Forrest Whitaker's character, Saul Guerrera, he's in the Clone Wars cartoon.
There is some sort of crossover. I think some of the characters are in Rebels as well. But you get to see labor camps run by the Empire. Sort of one of the big problems I've always had with the original trilogy is you just see the Empire being baddies, but you don't see what it's like for normal, regular, blue-collar people living under the grip of the Empire. And this movie shows that. This movie shows that in order to take down a foe as omnipresent as the Empire, you've got to break some eggs. You're going to have to do some horrible things. And it sort of goes into murkier waters. And it sort of makes the Star Wars universe feel more rounded and more believable and less like a space opera. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think everyone would agree.
It puts the war into Star Wars.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well
said.
I do apologise for blowing a raspberry when you said that's what you were going to talk about. But I really don't like Rogue One. I saw it once in the cinema. I haven't seen it since. So I think you're right. I came out of it and said, I probably do need to watch that again. But I just really don't want to because it's difficult. Because on paper, I feel like I should like almost everything about it. Your description sounds great, and that is, in a sense, that is exactly what the film is. You described it very well, but there's just something about it that I found insanely, oppressively dull. And I think a lot of it for me comes down to Gareth Edwards' direction, because I felt very similarly about Godzilla, his earlier film, in that, all the CGI stuff, all the big space battles, great. In the same way that Godzilla was great. The Godzilla in Godzilla was great. But then all the character stuff, which is so much of the film, I just could not give a shit. And I just really, it almost put me to sleep. And it pains me to say it, because I do love Star Wars. And the annoying thing, I know it's very, very, very different in tone to The Force Awakens, which I love, because it's just so much fun, and it's funny and energetic and a great family movie. Rogue One is much darker and much more grounded, and that's not why I dislike it. It's just, I feel like the script needed another punch up. I feel like the characters I just really didn't get a sense of who they were. And
I agree. I on most of your points.
Yeah.
I went to see it on Boxing Day with my mum and my brother, and we were in a cinema surrounded by 10-year-old boys.
Yeah.
And I came out feeling like the film hadn't been made for me. It'd been made for them. And that's fine. I mean, it was fine. Your description sounds really good. I didn't get that from it at all. It felt like it had been written for 10-year-old boys, and I was like, that's fine. That's a fine reason to make a movie. But it wasn't for me. There wasn't I didn't get the extra layers that you're talking about. I didn't get any of that when I was watching it. And maybe if I watched it again, but there's nothing about it made me want to watch it again.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow.
And it's got a great cast, and it was really, and it was nice to look at. But there was a point where I was like, if I close my eyes now, I'm not going to wake up before the end.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think a lot of the stuff you're talking about, like the the rebellion stuff, and having to kill your own guys, and doing things like sabotage and assassinations and bombings where you could potentially end up hurting civilians. I just don't think there's enough of that in the film as there needs to be. And I agree with Jim. There's just so much story and character stuff that really could have used just a little bit more of a punch up. I think Jin needed a lot more work to be endearing as a character. I think it would have worked a lot better had you established early on this idea of her admiration for her father and wanting to restore his legacy. Everything she was doing was that she did because she did not want her father to be remembered as a war criminal. If they'd established that early on, I would have been much more on board with her, and I would have understood why she went to Scarif at the end of the film. And because that was a big thing that bothered me, why the final act didn't hit home as hard as it could, because there's only really three characters, I'd say, who I know exactly why they're going to Scarif. Everyone else, I feel like they could have at least used one scene, like the scene in the first Guardians where they're talking about going to take on Ronan, and they don't want to do it because they don't want to die, and they don't even think it's going to work, so they don't want to die for nothing. I feel like a scene like that would have brought so much more to Rogue One.
Yeah. I mean, I see all of your criticisms because
we're not ganging up on you. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
This isn't the Rogue One intervention.
Sorry, Sam. It's shit.
All right, okay, fine.
I was joking.
I know. I think it's a really good movie, and I personally like it. But I do see all of your criticisms, and I will say, it is paced very oddly. It is quite slow. Not all because it's got it's perhaps a sort of a film with an ensemble cast written by someone who's not perhaps very good at writing ensemble casts. Some of the characters there was some underdevelopment, but never underestimate the power of Mads Mikkelsen, who
he was so good.
Is I believe the term is daddy as fuck.
Daddy as fuck.
Just call him Dads Mikkelsen.
Dads Mikkelsen. Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful man.
He was the best part of the film for me.
He was almost the best part of the film.
After Alan Tudyk?
Peter Cushing was the best part of the film.
That's true. Yeah, well.
No, I was so excited.
The reanimated corpse of Peter Cushing.
I don't care. I'm in love with Peter Cushing, and if they can bring him back from the dead, that's fine by me.
It was a little uncanny valley, as they say.
My brother would agree with you, but I disagree.
As much as I adore Peter Cushing,
from a completely nerdy perspective, it was just very exciting.
Seeing his reflection in the glass there, I was like, oh yes, that's awesome, that looks really cool. And then he turned around and was like, no, that's not real.
But seeing his reflection, that was the moment where I was like, yes!
Yeah, for me too. And then he turned around.
And that was the moment.
And then he was a character in the film.
Yeah, but that was the most exciting bit in the movie, was seeing his reflection and being like, holy shit, Peter Cushing is back from the dead.
Yeah, that was a cool bit with Vader, killing a load of guys. Even though it's very obvious that James Earl Jones is much older than he was in 2 hours later in the canon of the Star Wars movies. It has its problems. It has its problems, but as a I don't know. As someone who loves the Star Wars universe, but not necessarily the Star Wars movies, I really enjoyed Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We haven't even mentioned Ben Mendelsohn as Krennic.
Yes.
Great villain.
I thought he was a really good character, a really sort of good Star Wars villain that I engaged with. A bureaucrat, a red tape man who wanted to get his project off the ground.
Yeah, I know. And one of the great things I liked about him was seeing him in the opening scene where he's talking with Mads Mikkelsen, and he's like, he thinks Mads Mikkelsen is his friend. Like, he really does believe he's still on good terms with this guy.
Yeah, I see, again, with almost everything else in that film, it was only with the benefit of hindsight and looking back and thinking back, I was able to be like, yeah, that was a really good villain, actually, wasn't it? Interesting motivations, interesting arc there. But then while I was watching the film, I didn't get any of that. It didn't make me feel anything. It left me feeling hollow. And
this is why I
could be made that was the point. But
I mean, this is why I think I needed to see it a second time. This is why after watching it the first time, I thought, that was a bit different. I think I need to see it again. You know, sometimes you see a movie and, regardless of how, stupid it is or anything, you just think, I need to watch it again, I think. I thought that when I saw Beauty and the Beast early in the year. I don't know how much of my thoughts on that movie are, it's different, therefore it's wrong. So, yeah. But,
do you think, so, just thinking about it, and out of this discussion, it feels a bit like it's an anti-capitalist film. Like, there's definitely that anti-bureaucracy, anti-establishment. And I'd go as far as to say anti-capitalist, because it's about ideas over projects and that kind of thing. And that, to me, feels massively hypocritical from a franchise big as Star Wars.
Disney.
Yes, right? Well, is that just me? Am I completely
I never really read any capitalist overtones in Star Wars, because I honestly don't know what currency they even use.
Credits.
Yeah, it's always just credits.
Republican credits.
Thinking about that, I do agree with that hypothesis, but then also the film just reeks to me of studio interference. It felt like it was hacked to death. Yeah. There was so much in those trailers that wasn't there in the film.
Yeah, there were strong rumours of reshoots.
Yes,
and
it
things
felt
like that.
It felt like there was entire plot threads and character arcs that were just kind of not even necessarily unfinished, just sort of completely half-baked. And I got the sense that, somewhere down the line, in the early stages of development, I reckon, Diego Luna's character, Cassian Andor, I reckon he would have been a really compelling character, And I didn't get that at all from the finished product. Same with Jyn Erso. I thought she would have been a great protagonist, but she's not.
I don't know if that was just what they were going for in the film that ended up being cut to pieces. I think I've never actually looked into this, but I know the the ending was massively re-edited, and I'm not sure if they were going for what everyone thought they were going for.
The original, there was a cut in which Cassian and Jyn survived, which they got away, but they ended up going with the ending. Spoilers for Rogue One. Holy shit!
Wow.
Loads
okay.
of spoilers. But they ended up going with what they did go with because they just felt, why the fuck weren't they in A New Hope? Where were they in the original trilogy? Otherwise, so I think that's why they just wanted to tie it all up. That's what I read. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
There's a film this week. The big release this week is one that we've all seen. I think we need to talk about it. That is, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the new James Gunn picture.
James Gunn.
Yeah, he's isn't he wonderful?
I saw his name in the credits and I was like, what else has he directed?
Slither.
Super.
Oh, Slither.
Slither, Super.
Which one's Super?
Super was the one with Rainn Wilson as a superhero.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie! Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
If Kick-Ass was nihilistic as fuck.
Yeah, really warped.
Tonally misjudged
really
and quite...
sequence in
yeah.
that film.
The rape scene
horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
Really nasty film.
Yeah, really nasty.
Contrasted to Guardians, which is just so hopeful and lovely and the best things in the world ever.
Yeah. Who'd like to start off on Guardians 2?
I mean, I can. I feel like I talk a lot.
I feel someone positive should start, and then I'll be Captain Buzzkill at the end.
Jim, you're gushing on Guardians. Go ahead.
I fucking love this film. I absolutely adored it. I had almost no problems with it. I think I'm going to be in the minority overall that I think prefer possibly the second one to the first.
It's fine so long as you know you're wrong.
Right, let me explain why. The first one is very clearly a much tighter, more streamlined, more, I would argue, probably more accessible film. It makes more sense as a whole. It feels more complete. But for me, upon loads and loads of rewatches, the problems with the first Guardians have become very apparent to me. I would argue it's got a weak villain. Weak as fuck. Ronan, he's up there, well, down there with Malekith in terms of, like, you know, the bad MCU villains. I would say yes. Malekith was the villain in Thor: The Dark World. Christopher Eccleston. Can't remember him? Yeah. Nobody else in the world can. Yeah, I would argue Ronan was just weak as hell, and it feels like he's in the wrong movie. Yeah, with Guardians, I feel like upon loads and loads of rewatches, not all of the jokes land. And I know you can't really expect that, but a disproportionate amount of the jokes just kind of fall a little bit flat. And I understand that these are ultimately family films. They're designed so that kids can like them. Mm-hmm. But the first Guardian, I don't know, it just felt, a lot of the humour was it was great because I think it's just, what's great about it is that it's so inherently charming and it's just wonderful, and it's new and different and fresh, and the influences are clear, but, you know, as a whole, it was something completely different. Guardians 2 isn't. We know this, you know, we've seen all of these characters, but for me, it just delivered everything that I loved about the first one, and more. A lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting. To me, it avoided Marvel's villain problem. It had a villain who was layered and tragic, and, you know, it fit perfectly with the theme of the film, which I feel like Marvel have always sort of struggled with. They always seem to me, with the exception of like Loki and arguably Ultron, most of their villains feel kind of tacked on placeholders because the films need a villain, because they're superhero movies. Zemo in Civil War was another good one, I think, was really organic and necessary to the story. Yeah, and I think Guardians 2 had that. What I loved about it was the humour it was, you know, firing on all cylinders. Almost every joke worked for me. The characters, I felt nobody really got short shrift. Like, arguably Drax, but even then, that's compensated by the fact that he gets all the best lines. He's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. Nebula, Gamora, Yondu, Quill, Rocket, everybody is just, they're so much richer by the end of the second film, I think, than the first. And it sells the theme of family completely. It explores the idea that, you know, what am I thinking of? The parallels between the family you're born into and the family you choose. You know, which has more inherent value, and yeah, I thought it was fucking spectacular.
Should we try and do the plot?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Well, you know, as it's a brand new movie, we shouldn't go into too much depth. Just sort of describe the outset.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Peter Quill is taken from Earth after the death of his mum. He's taken in the 1980s. I can't remember exactly which year.
1980s.
88.
I think, yes.
There we go. And he has not much with him, but he's got his Walkman with some really good tunes on it.
Awesome Mix Volume 1.
Awesome Mix Volume 1.
It's another thing. I do think the first one had a better soundtrack. I think Awesome Mix Volume 1 is better than Volume 2. Carry on. Sorry.
So he's got his Walkman, not much else, and he's about 8 years old.
Yeah, around about.
He's taken from Earth and then turns up 20 odd years later when he's about his early 30s, right? As this guy that goes and steals stuff. He ends up meeting a load of other people, all aliens, and they kick some ass, basically, is the first one.
Pretty much.
Second one, they're still kicking ass.
They're a family.
They're a family unit. They argue, they bicker because that's what families do best. And then Peter Quill's long-lost dad turns up in the form of Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
The inimitable Kurt Russell.
And that's kind of all we should say about the plot, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think anything else needs to be...
Other to say that the sort of the Guardians do split off into two distinct groups. Which I think was perhaps a weakness of the film, that they're not together for the whole movie. I think the fact that Gamora, Drax and Quill go off in one direction and Rocket and Yondu go off in another, and they all sort of converge at the end. But it's
I felt that too. I felt it did cause a real sort of divide that just sort of, I'm not going to say ruined, but it sort of brought down the story structure a little bit, possibly with unnecessary bloat. But at the very least, they are both paired with incredibly good foils. I mean, Rocket has a really great foil in Yondu, who's someone who's lived a similar life as Rocket, but has since come to regret it. Drax, as much as he gets the short shrift, he gets a really good foil in Mantis. Who someone who can identify exactly what he means with any given moment.
She was great. She was so good. I loved her as a character.
She was great. I really enjoyed Drax in the first one. I think you're right. I think he got a lot of really funny lines in the second one. But I was almost a bit frustrated by that. One of the reasons I really like Drax in the first one is that we should point out that Drax is quite a straightforward, literal. He doesn't understand metaphors, similes, sarcasm, etiquette. He's not great at reading. He's not great at reading other people's reactions. He's not great at reading people. Basically, he's not good at human interaction. And I read quite a lot about autistic people visiting a film and finally seeing someone they felt represented them on the screen. And I thought he was really brilliant for that in the first film. And I thought in the second film he was much more of the comic relief and much less of that really wonderful character that he'd been in the first one. Not that he wasn't brilliant as that, I just felt it was a shame that they'd taken that away from him. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I understand that.
Well.
There's a lot less of the failure to understand metaphors. I mean, you could put this down to character growth.
Well, yeah, I think there is an aspect of that, and there's the kind of the fact that he understands when someone's being sarcastic, and he can see the winking and stuff, and he gets that there are jokes being made. And I get that that's character growth, but I'd rather he hadn't grown quite so much.
I know what you mean.
I think that it almost took that he's no longer the autistic hero that I want him to be. That sounds really weird, but I read quite a lot of people autistic children going to see it and saying, "That's me. I don't understand things either," and to not have that, to have him recognising things like that.
To me, that was counterbalanced nicely with Mantis, because she's very similar in a way, in that it's not necessarily just fundamentally not understanding. It's that she's so naive and sweet, and she just doesn't have a concept of a lot of things. And that I just find it funny that Drax is the one who has to teach her this.
That's true.
She learns almost all of human interaction from him.
But she's empathetic.
Yes, that's true.
So she can do emotions.
Yeah, that's true.
And she can read human emotion, even if she has to touch them in order to do it.
Yeah.
There's still that ability.
Yeah, but she's also...
She is brilliant. She's a wonderful character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pom
Clemente, I think.
Whoever, she's wonderful. I hope we see more of her.
I only bring this up because I think it's her birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday, Pom. Because she's a Guardian now. That's not a spoiler. She's she's with the group. She's going to be in Infinity War. That's confirmed.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. I thought she was great. We were talking about the characters splitting up. For me, I totally get what you mean about feeling like that was to the film's detriment. But I don't know. I just that just opened up for so much character development between them in terms of, like, Rocket and Yondu have that so much. That, like, that scene towards the climax where they're shouting at each other and talking about each other's past. Incredible. You have Nebula and Gamora. You finally understand their rivalry and where it comes from and what their childhood was like, being raised by Thanos. You get, obviously, Star-Lord and Ego as well. Yes, Star-Lord and his dad, who, obviously, that's sort of like the central theme of the film. That's the heart of it. And Yondu sort of plays into that as well, about the idea of this sort of surrogate father. And yeah, it's everybody, and then Baby Groot.
Baby Groot.
It's just the easiest laughs and just the most obviously cute thing ever. You know?
That opening sequence was wonderful. It
starts with Mr. Blue Sky.
It starts with Mr. Blue Sky. They're battling this massive, like, octopus creature, and the camera doesn't focus on that. It focuses on Baby Groot.
Well, the world's going to hell behind him, and he's just dancing to
Mr. Blue Sky's
and them sort of coming over and each sort of being a parent to him when he, trips up or saying, "No, spit that out, come on."
They're like Gamora, just like firing again, just like, "Groot, get out of the way, you're going to get hurt." And then she looks again, and goes, "Hi,"
because he's waving. I really, really love the theme. I know this was a theme in the first movie as well, but it's really, really hammered home in this one. Like you touched on earlier about you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends.
Yes,
and that is a theme that is particularly strong to me. As sort of some people's families have not been. Yeah, some people's families have not been wholly happy, but you can't do anything about that. But you can by who you choose to surround yourself with. What your the family that you choose is the one that you that really means a lot more to you, and that's something that really touched me in this movie as well.
And same with me. I think that's ultimately why I value this one so highly. It's what made me love the first one, and it's what makes me value this one over it ever so slightly. Like, it's by a hair, but I just because that theme is so hammered home. It really got me. I was crying by the end, and it's just so warm and fuzzy, and I've seen it twice, and I'm going to see it a third time, and nobody can do a fucking thing to stop me. Carry on.
There is one problem, though. I have a serious problem with this movie that I feel needs to be addressed. Is that the excellent Fleetwood Mac. The song "The Chain" is in this movie twice, neither do they get to that fucking really awesome bass line at the end that absolutely defines that song. I just don't see why James Gunn would fucking. Each time I was just like, yeah, it's going to get to that bit, it's just going to get really quiet, and then it's going to go dung. And
I thought at the end when he makes the fists, I was thinking, this is going to be it.
The final battle I was expecting it, and then it just cuts, and then they just generic fucking action movie music, and I thought, oh, damn it.
I was really waiting for a major flaw, and I feel like
that was my biggest problem with the film.
If that's your biggest problem, then it's...
I think, it's certainly one of my problems in that, unlike the first film, I don't think the soundtrack is perfectly in sync with the events going on screen.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Come and Get Your Love is perfectly in sync with Star-Lord dancing around like an idiot in a ruined alien city. Cherry Bomb is perfectly in sync with suiting up.
Yeah,
true. I think it started off perfectly. Mr. Blue Sky really worked, so good. From there, I think the only other obvious one is that I can't remember the song.
Oh my god, yes,
Cat Stevens. Yeah, that was the best
scene in this is Star-Lord and Groot listening to Cat Stevens.
Yeah,
that
is
lovely. Yeah. Gorgeous. Well, with the firework, it was so good.
I'm about to become Captain Buzzkill, but and that's one of the problems I even was having with it at the time. The fact that they and I'm going to veer very close to spoiler territory here, they do this incredibly long sequence mourning a character who, like, is important, but not that important to the overall story. And I mean, we did not spend this long mourning Logan. and it's you're doing this for this entirely supporting character.
I think it's more than just. I don't really want to spoil it for anybody, but I think it was more than just. You're saying that whole sequence was just mourning a character, but it wasn't. It was a realization that each character had during that sequence.
But that's true.
By the time we get to
it's more than
that was a huge character moment for Peter Quill.
But not just for Peter Quill,
combination
for
of his
each of
character
them.
arc. Yeah,
it was a massive moment.
It really worked for me, that ending. I felt in terms of that particular character that you were talking about. I felt we had that character's. That was the culmination of that character's arc throughout this film, in particular, and I just. Like, it's very nearly an A+ for me. I love this film.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did really like it, and it is very, it's I mean, the Marvel movies are all good. You don't the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are all good. They don't get,
true.
It's a given that it will be a really good movie at this point.
At least entertaining.
Yeah, and this was a very, very good one. Probably in the first half of, if you sort of put them all out from best to worst, it would be in the first half of that list.
Easily
but
top
it
3
doesn't. Well, yeah, maybe top 5 for me. But but that's I do have a soft spot for the cosmic side of the Marvel universe.
Yes.
I really, really like the first Guardians and Doctor Strange and Thor. Thor is my favourite Avenger. So I did like it, but it's not as good as Guardians. The first one is probably my favourite in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's so good. This didn't quite get there, and that's not to its detriment, because it is still a really good movie. But I did have my problems with it, and it's not as good as the first one. You're wrong, Jim.
Fair enough. Fine. Well, you're wrong about Rogue One, so there we go.
Wow.
That's the beauty of film fandom. You can all be wrong at some point.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do we have any more thoughts on Guardians? Or
I think I put my point across fairly firmly.
I mean, you're a little bit vague. Can you clear up a bit on your emotions?
Yeah, I pretty much liked it.
Okay. I suppose my only other main problem, because I do want to say I still love this film. This is definitely in the upper brackets of Marvel movies. But a problem I had with it was at some points the humour. I felt like a lot of the jokes and a lot of problems in this film come from it just straight up trying too hard. And I felt that it was going that way with the humour as well. We really don't need people laughing hysterically at one guy's stupid.
Yeah.
You can just smirk. Sometimes less is more. We don't need Nebula to say that the fruit's not ripe. We've been told the fruit's not ripe 2 times already. I know.
It was. I disagree. I'll be quiet.
I liked that joke.
Yeah, I like that joke.
I also enjoyed that joke.
She could just
her character.
wince and spit it out.
I love that. Like, that just hammered home the joke for me, and it's just that's her character. She's stubborn to the point where she's kind of an idiot. She's determined to eat this thing, and she hates them, so she's not going to listen to them.
I have to say one of the things about this film that I really liked was the fact that I actually quite like Karen Gillan now. I really didn't like her in Doctor Who. I was indifferent about her in the first film. I like her now. She can act. The woman can act. She's good.
I honestly thought she oversold it a little bit. At times. I found that with the first film. I think she's good in the role. She's got a lot more to do here, and she's perfectly serviceable. I don't think she's as good as, say, Zoe Saldana is at all.
I think she was perfect for the role that she was playing. I think
Fair
it was,
enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've always thought she was perfect for this role. I mean, I've always loved Karen Gillan.
As have I.
Yes, obviously the guys in the room.
No, Doctor Who was brilliant, and she was great in it.
I love Doctor Who, but oh my god, Amy Pond, go away.
What, compared to Rose Tyler?
Oh god, let's not get into
not
it.
go this
Okay,
far.
fine, alright.
This could go on a long time.
I'm sure
What
it
did
does.
we want to go on to? Do we want to open this up?
Okay, yeah. So, the theme for this week was sort of leading on from Guardians, was to talk about our favourite Marvel movies. And so, a sort of a more broad discussion on the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, as we are coming up on 10 years of it now.
Jesus.
Which is, terrifying.
Yeah.
I think we might already be there. I'm pretty sure I remember the first Iron Man coming out
2008.
2008.
It was 2008, yeah.
2008.
Yeah, I remember
Almost 10 years.
sort of working. We sat next to each other when we saw it at the Star screening, didn't we?
Yeah, I should remember that this was 2008.
Yeah, and then sort of seeing the first post-credit stinger and being like,
See, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that first time.
I saw it beforehand because I think I was stewarding one of the advanced screenings.
Yeah.
Like, oh right, okay, that's going to be a thing now.
Yeah, and
Little
not sort
did
of
you
really,
know.
not thinking about if it was going to work or anything, let alone that it would be the biggest franchise on the face of the
It's
planet.
going to be another X-Men The Last Stand, isn't it?
Yeah.
How wrong you
I
were.
didn't realise that they were going to start doing like one of these every film, and then Guardians has 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the time actually I didn't want to see Iron Man because I was so I'd seen X-Men: The Last Stand and Spider-Man 3, and I thought all superhero movies are terrible now.
Yeah.
All these terrible movies based on comic properties, I'm not even going to bother. And then obviously saw Iron Man. I thought that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And then and then we are where we are today. But, who wants to go first on Marvel?
Marvel in general.
If we can do Marvel in general, I'd like to talk about Deadpool. And I know
Go
it's
ahead.
not technically in the cinematic universe or whatever, but it's fucking brilliant.
It is.
It is.
It's so good.
And they're making a second one and a third one. But
Yep.
let's start with the first one. So he was in some of the X-Men. He turned up in at least one of the X-Men films, didn't he?
He was in
He sat on top
X-Men
of the-
Origins Wolverine, but
yeah.
that doesn't count. That
complicated,
film almost killed
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I'm sure he turned up in something. Anyway,
That was it.
Oh, yeah.
was that it? Was that all he
Yeah.
did?
Yeah, but it was.
He sewed
But
his mouth
I
shut.
think
and
maybe
he
he
wasn't
was
Deadpool.
the best thing in it.
Ryan Reynolds himself, maybe.
Because it
What-
was
what
Ryan
was
Reynolds
Deadpool?
playing the same character, but not the same character. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't. It's
Ryan
It's
Reynolds
very weird.
doing the quips and having some swords for about 20 minutes, and then he's not in it, and then he shows up at the end, except he's not Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
It's effectively a
yeah.
different character,
Oh.
but
Yeah.
it is the same character from the comics. But it's weird.
That's confusing me, so I'm just going to talk about the film.
Yes.
Just talk about
Yes,
Deadpool.
yes,
Yes.
Deadpool, let's do some plot. He is... How do I explain Deadpool?
A mercenary with
He's-
a mouth.
Yeah, so he's
A mercenary with a mouth.
played by Ryan Reynolds. He's a bit of a talker. Very much a wise ass, I think is what you describe him as.
Yeah.
He describes himself as a bad guy that beats up worse guys, I think is kind of his thing. Until something changes and he becomes this semi-superhero mutant type thing, and the X-Men try to recruit him. So the film is about that and about his origin story and about how he gets to be where he is. Wearing his red suit, making wisecracks, kicking ass. And from the opening sequence of this film, I remember going to see it at the cinema and just being like, yes, I love this movie. In the first 30 seconds, I was like, yes, I love this movie. Because the title sequence is slow motion fight sequence with credit lines that read things like a CGI character.
Yeah.
Some
And
overpaid
I wrote-
douchebag.
Some
Gratuitous cameo.
But it's
A British villain.
starring, God's perfect gift. And then a picture of Ryan Reynolds appears, and you're like, this is just wonderful.
It's God's perfect idiot.
Idiot, that was it.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, this is wonderful. And yeah, you can, as soon as that sense of humour kicks in, you're like, yes, I'm going to enjoy this film. And I think that although the sense of humour is quite juvenile, we're going back to that word again, it's somehow, it works for that character, and it kind of contrasts what would otherwise be a really fucking dark, miserable movie. I think if he wasn't cracking jokes every 5 seconds, I wouldn't be able to watch it, because it would just be so...
really nasty.
Really nasty.
Yeah.
Really, really horrible. But with him making jokes about, she's going to do the superhero landing.
Yeah.
You're like, they only do this is just a superhero thing. And breaking the 4th wall, and then breaking the 16th wall when he breaks the 4th wall inside a 4th wall break. And you're like, this is just hilarious. And the jokes are stupid, and the jokes are horrible. And he's kind of not a nice guy. But you can't help but like him. And I think the other thing that is, and I think it's really obvious, I looked it up afterwards, I was like, this guy's, the director is brilliant, Tim Miller. Fantastic. What else has he done? This was his first film. Yeah, which I had no idea. But he did the visual effects on Scott Pilgrim. And I was like,
he was a visual effects artist, and he worked for companies that did sort of opening titles for movies, like a lot of Fincher's movies they did. Like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that kind of thing.
And I think I think it works. The visual style works with that comedic
Really
sense
does.
of humour and the darkness and the horribleness of the rest of it. It just, and TJ Miller's fantastic. And Marina
Baccarin.
Yeah. I normally don't like her. She was very good.
Yeah.
What? You really what?
I just have issues. But she
Even in
she was
Firefly?
No, she was good
She
in
was
Firefly.
one of the weakest in Firefly.
No, but she was good in Firefly, but then
She's
she
good,
turns up
but-
in some other things and you're just like, really? But she was really good in that.
Yeah.
And it was written by the guys who wrote Zombieland.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Was
really
it?
well.
Reese and Paul Wernick?
I
Yeah,
did
that
not
sense
know
of-
that.
That sense of humour is there. That kind of, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Playful to the point
Kind
of nastiness.
yeah,
Yeah.
like horrible, dark, funny.
And just rapid fire with the delivery.
Yeah.
Literally, if one joke doesn't land, there'll be another one in 5 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And it's got some really wonderful characters in it as well. Some kind of minor characters that, like TJ
Absolutely.
Miller's character is fantastic, and I don't consider him to be a
funny.
major part. But also the blind black woman who's a cocaine
Leslie
addict
Uggams.
who he's living with is just. She's wonderful. I mean, I don't think you hear enough jokes about IKEA furniture, to be honest.
Yes.
And she does it, and she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Just really, really good.
Yeah. It truly is a special movie.
It is.
Until, for a long time, I could just sort of think, fuck all the X-Men movies. They're all shit. And then X-Men First Class comes along. I'm like, well, fuck all the X-Men movies apart from First Class. And then Deadpool came along. I'm like, well, fuck all the X-Men movies apart from First Class and Deadpool. And now I've got to go, well, fuck all the X-Men movies apart from First Class and Deadpool and Logan.
But true, fuck all the rest of them, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them aren't terrible, but I would happily get rid of them to save those three specifically.
Yeah, after like where we are now, X2 kind of feels like the definition of just like mediocre.
Yeah, I remember when X-Men 2 came out thinking that's the best superhero movie ever.
Yeah,
comparatively by now it's shit.
People still love that film, like sort of irrationally.
Yeah.
They just cling on to that and just like, X-Men 2 was the best superhero movie ever made. And it's like, yeah, back
Which
then.
one was X-Men 2?
Brian Cox
was the villain. Fuck
What?
off. Don't do that.
the one that ends with a dam busting open.
That's not the
And
one.
Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah,
Nightcrawler.
Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. Yeah,
To be fair, like people love that film. It really doesn't hold up, and the entire action climax is just underground in like silver corridors, and like
It's
that's
got
the
the
kind of
same
like,
climax as one half of the climax to X-Men Origins Wolverine.
what?
Just
That was convoluted.
well, yeah. I mean, one half of the climax is Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting Deadpool on top of the cooling tower, but the other half is people running through grey corridors
Yeah,
and,
of course.
and it being very boring. But
They could just reuse the sets.
yeah, well, I think they were. It's supposed to be the same place, isn't it?
Is it? Alkali Lake?
Alkali. Well, no, it's halfway through. I don't know. I barely remember X-Men Origins
fucking
Wolverine
cares?
because it's like, it's in the top 5 worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's really dreadful.
It's up there with Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Wow, it is
So
amazingly
bad.
actually.
So bad.
Like, how did that get made?
Shame on you, Gavin Hood. I don't know what else Gavin Hood's done.
Which is the X-Men movie with the bit with the slow motion with the guy from American Horror Story?
That's Days of Future Past and X-Men Origin and X-Men
X-Men
Apocalypse, not Origins. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, I just like the guy from whose name I can't
Evan
remember.
Peters.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
he's
great.
He is good.
He's the best thing in both of those movies, I would argue. And
Yeah.
I really don't like those movies too much. I'm in the minority that actually thought X-Men Apocalypse was better than Days of Future Past. I can't abide Days of Future Past because, the thing is, I love First Class. I really like First Class. I just wish Bryan Singer had fucked off. Keep Bryan Singer away from First Class. I want sequels to First Class with Matthew Vaughn. I want James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and these mutants from First Class. Introduce Jean Grey and Cyclops, all of that kind of stuff. Keep Bryan Singer away. Let him go do another shit Superman movie. Or let him do, whatever he was doing afterwards. Valkyrie? Whatever.
I think I heard this on School of Movies. There's a bit in Days of Future Past where Wolverine is talking about Storm, and he just calls her Storm, even though she has an actual name. And Bryan Singer does not care enough to look up what her real name is.
He does that in the entire first 3 movies. He only ever calls her Storm. And...
If you give so little shit, why keep coming back?
Yeah,
Money.
it's just...
Money.
Yeah, I think he always sort of considered X-Men his baby, and I think people were desperate for him to come back and save the franchise, even though First Class was the best thing they'd done in years.
Yeah.
Because of X-Men 2.
But they couldn't get Matthew Vaughn back.
Which is a shame. He went off and did Kingsman, which was great.
Kingsman was great. I
still need to see Kingsman.
It's on Netflix.
I know.
Yeah.
Get on it.
It's the time. It's getting the time to watch
second
all
one
these
at least,
movies.
because that looks good.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer for the second one now. Oh my god! Colin Firth has like a Mindhorn eye patch.
He does.
I love an eye patch.
Okay. What do you want to talk about, Sam?
I want to talk about eye patches. All the coolest guys. Snake Plissken, Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4, General Lethbridge Stewart in the alternate universe in that episode of Doctor Who, Inferno from
Nick
the 70s.
Fury.
Nick Fury, yeah, eye patches are cool, man. Mindhorn, yeah, coming back to it. I don't know, eye patches are cool, but anyway.
You have no depth perception.
Yeah, but fuck that. You have an eye patch.
Nick Fury wears an eye patch.
Yeah, you just said
We
Nick Fury.
mentioned.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
As someone that was
Sorry.
wearing an eye patch a couple of weeks ago, that's not that great.
Did yours have a skull and crossbones on it though?
No, it was kind of see-through and had holes in it. It was really distracting.
That would suck.
Yeah, it was really horrible. And it makes your eyes sweaty. Like, I don't know how they do it. It's just really warm
Do
behind them.
eyes sweat?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah?
Yeah, they do. It's really sweaty and horrible.
I don't understand what just happened.
Oh, we went on a wonderful tangent, but anyway, next movie. Spider-Man 2 is my
so
favourite
good.
Marvel. Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Not the amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, not that fucking piece
The
of shit.
amazingly atrocious Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, the actual Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. Coming back to Sam Raimi again. I don't know if there's anything I can say that hasn't already been said. Bob Chipman did a really high, very in-depth breakdown of that movie, which I highly recommend everyone go and watch if you've got 2 hours to spare. But it truly is a great movie. It sort of follows on from the first movie where Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker is juggling his home life, but also life as Spider-Man, trying to hold down a job, trying to study at college, and he's starting to think, why do I keep doing this? What's in it for me? I've got my own life that I need to live, and I can't keep doing this and carry on being Spider-Man. At the same time, Alfred Molina is another crazy scientist who gets into another crazy experiment and, winds up with giant metal arms fused to his spine, and has possibly one of the greatest scenes. Names as well. Otto Octavius. Yeah, winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds? But yeah, he has this. There's this fucking amazing scene when that sort of the scientists are trying, the doctors are trying to take the sort of limbs off of him, and there's this sort of there's sort of a slight movement. One of the sort of doctors notices that one of the pulleys that's holding his limbs are slight movement, and it's sort of Sam Raimi going back to his horror roots. And there's no music, and it's just completely silent. And there's sort of very quick cuts, and there's a chainsaw ripping. It's so good, and it's really scary. And Alfred Molina and Sam Raimi, obviously the script does this as well, brings interest to a character. It makes Dr. Octopus interesting. Never was an interesting character beforehand.
It's incredibly sympathetic, and that's something Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films did so well.
Yeah.
It made you care about their villains, with the exception of Venom. But
he clearly did not care about Venom.
Obviously not. The Sandman was good.
Yeah. I mean, my problem with Sandman was that by that point, the whole tragic villain thing seemed a bit done in that particular franchise.
Sure. Should have focused on Harry, really.
Yeah, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock was just the perfect incarnation of that. He was so brilliant, and he gets his redemption at the end. He saves New York.
Yeah, and there is a really brilliant action scene that starts off on a tower and then moves onto a train, and it's this sort of a really long sequence, and it's a very good action scene, but there's only so much you can do with an action scene. But what is really wonderful is that it immediately justifies this action scene by having Dr. Octopus sort of sabotaging the train so that it can't slow down, and he says, right, you've got a train to catch, and jumps off the train, and Spider-Man's got to stop the train, and when he does, he just nearly kills himself doing it, and the people of New York sort of care for him afterwards. They stop him from falling and carry him back into the train, and his mask's been torn off at this point, and they just sort of all collectively agree that they're going to keep hold of his secret for him, and it's a really, really touching moment.
Yeah,
incredibly triumphant and powerful.
Yes,
it feeds into Peter's arc through the entire film, wondering why am I Spider-Man when so many people despise me for it, and it's and it feeds into that post 9/11 New York unity.
Yes,
an attack on any one New Yorker is an attack on every New Yorker, and that's
literally say that at the end of the first movie.
Yeah,
and it's brilliant. It's not even American, and I feel patriotic watching that.
It's beautiful.
It's so good, and the second one especially, I think for me is the perfect hero's journey. It's just it's just the triumph in what adventure storytelling is about. I would say for me, it's what superheroes should be. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become the new standard, and rightly so. It's incredible, but it's watching Spider-Man 2 now feels like a throwback, to what would be. I mean, this is the golden age of superhero movies, clearly, but Spider-Man 2 was this rare gem that was just so wholly complete, I think. Even now, that it stands up, and I will watch that over, the majority of Marvel movies today, really, because it's just so... It's just wholesome, and it makes me happy to watch it,
Yeah.
It's just so nice and positive. It's just a really great experience, and Spider-Man 3 stings to this day, because it's just... a down note. It's where that trilogy falls. It could have been a perfect trilogy, and it's not.
And it's a real shame in the long term, because I find myself now not slightly looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming, because we already have such a perfect iteration of this character.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, in Civil War he was great.
Yeah, he was.
But yeah, I completely agree. There is a little seed of doubt in my mind about Spider-Man: Homecoming. The fact that it's also produced by Sony and not by Marvel Studios. I know Marvel Studios are heavily involved, but I can't help but think this is Sony's property. I don't know how much creative control they're going to let Marvel have.
I mean, one thing that gave me a little bit of hope was recently I saw Kevin Feige's notes on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it was literally everything that was wrong with that film. He flagged it up in the nicest way possible. It was so sweet. He was just like, this is a really great scene. This is a really great action scene. But I think to give it a bit more depth or context, maybe include this, or just like, this is a really nice idea, but maybe you don't need that thing with Peter's dad, you know? And it was just like, yes, exactly, Kevin Feige. Sort of and the fact that he's clearly more involved, and they've clearly been like, yeah, we fucked up, so come give us a hand. Like that gives me a little bit of hope that,
We'll see.
Yeah.
But, but back to Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
I can't let us move on without mentioning Danny Elfman's score to that movie. I mean, I like Danny Elfman. Sometimes, there's a bit of repetition, but his score for the first two Spider-Man, I know he didn't do the third one, that was Christopher Young. But the score for those two movies are just sublime, especially the main Spider-Man theme, which really sort of captures the sort of arachnid essence of Spider-Man. It feels like it's moving in about three different directions at once. It doesn't feel like a conventional piece of music. You can't really, I'm a pianist, but I can't. It's not a sort of piece of music that I've been able to figure out on the piano. It's a very odd piece of music, but it works very well for the character, and it's just such a brilliant, listenable piece of music with that goes really well with the opening credits, and it's a really...
Opening credits are so cool.
Yeah,
when the Sony logo comes up and then you have the brrrr as that one web shoots by.
It's very cool. Yeah, the opening credits of Spider-Man 2 are sort of drawings, comic book... Well, not really comic book style, but they're sort of artist impressions of events from the first movie, which is really cool, but sort of presented within webs and things as they're going past, as the sort of titles are moving past. And it's a joy to watch and to listen to as well, with Danny Elfman's score in the background as well.
Yeah,
there's only so much I can say about that, but it's I can listen to the soundtrack to Spider-Man 2 over and over again. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Who's next? Anyone want to take the ball?
Honestly, I would have talked about Spider-Man 2 or Deadpool. Or Guardians 2, so, or Guardians 1, but, we've covered it, so I'm done.
Good. Would you say, that's your favourite Marvel movie, then?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I know it's, now it's weird to talk about my favourite Marvel movie as not being a movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think you have to take them separately, really, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose 2008, you mentioned School of Movies earlier, they sort of mentioned about the different ages of cinematic superhero movies and how 2008 was the start of a new one. It was the sort of the age of the cinematic universe. It's when the X-Men movies started to think, okay, maybe we should tie this up into a universe, and they've tried to do that.
Yeah.
To varying degrees of success, and then Man of Steel came along. Let's not talk about the DC movies because, but yeah. So I mean, it's mainly been dominated by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has, for the most part, been fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I'd say that Deadpool is my favourite Marvel movie so far.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that Thor Ragnarok hasn't come out yet. I mean, they showed the trailer again today before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
So
and
awesome.
I love Taika Waititi, he can do no wrong. And him and Chris Hemsworth together is just going to be so good.
And Jeff Goldblum.
And Sam Neill.
Sam Neill's in it?
Sam Neill's in
What?
it, yeah. He's not in the trailer, but he's in.
Is he really?
His role hasn't been confirmed yet. I don't think he wasn't in the trailer, but yes, he's been cast and he's going to be in it. Probably a cameo akin to Sylvester Stallone.
Oh.
Sort of like they did a Tango and Cash reunion in Guardians 2. This is going to be a Jurassic Park reunion in
I was going
Ragnarok.
to say I want them to have a little Jurassic Park moment together. That'd be lovely.
I really hope that it's not like Jesus. Like I kind of wish I hadn't said that because I wanted you to because you didn't know Stallone was in Guardians.
I didn't know when his name came up in the credits. I was like, "Fucking what?" Physically taken aback. But Sam. I was the same when you mentioned Sam Neill. Ugh. Yeah. I'm a 5-year-old boy again, giddy about the fact that I'm going to see Jurassic Park. Ugh.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's got a really good trailer.
That I think it's probably the weirdest thing that's in the pipeline for Marvel Studios. But I think given after Guardians, I like how this is now just the safest bet. This is the one that we're looking at and just being like, that's probably going to be excellent.
Yeah. Well, this is the really interesting thing is I got to a point actually a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm so done with superhero movies.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a good one for a while. They're all right, but I'm sick of paying to go to see them. And then Deadpool, and I was like, yes, this is genius. And then I don't know. I think there's something about Thor Ragnarok that's just got me so excited in a way that I haven't been excited about a superhero
Looks
movie
like magic.
in such a long time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love Taika Waititi, and I did not know what his version of a Thor film would be like.
Me neither, until I saw that trailer.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Totally. Exactly.
When Marvel sort of released their slate of the H phase, and they have the sort of the logos of all the movies that are coming out for the next 10 years, and you can feel your soul drain. When they sort of unleashed that, and they had when they saw the logo for Thor Ragnarok, and I thought, what the fuck is that? That looks terrible.
It's really 80s.
Until you see it in context of the trailer with Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, and it's like, I can't believe that they've not used this song before. And it's, and then when the trailer came up and I thought, brilliant, that looks thematically perfect in keeping with the mood that they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
From that trailer, it's a really excellent trailer.
Once you see the aesthetic of everything on what I'm assuming is Sakaar.
Because it looks like they're incorporating Planet Hulk elements, doesn't it?
Yeah, everything to do with that planet is just entirely 80s era science fiction. It's like Flash Gordon and
it is.
It's like they've taken the 80s bit from Guardians of the Galaxy, which works really well,
Yeah.
and taken it one step further. And I'm really excited about that in a way I didn't expect to be at all.
They've clearly looked at the success of Guardians and been like, okay, go weird or go home.
And that's that I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is at its best when they're doing the cosmic weirdness.
And I think I think they've realised that, and they're going to steer into that from now on. I think because Infinity War is definitely going to have that cosmic side to it. And James Gunn has come out and said that he is working closely with Kevin Feige as sort of like the godfather of the cosmic universe now.
I'd be curious as to what the relationship is, because I know the Russo brothers are directing Infinity War.
They are, yeah.
I would be shocked if James Gunn didn't have any input in that.
Probably a producer or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to if they're using it. They're using his characters, so he must be, there. And then I think obviously Captain Marvel is going to be more cosmic by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
The wonderful Alison Brie.
Yeah. No,
Is
what?
Brie Larson. Brie Larson.
I
always do this.
You're messing your Brees up.
Alison Pill.
Alison Brie. Alison Pill.
Alison Brie
made a completely new one. Oh, Alison Pill, Alison Brie, Brie Larson, Brie Olsen.
Brie Olsen
from the Human Centipede 3. That ignore me. Yeah.
Is she related to Elizabeth Olsen?
No.
Okay.
She's a different Olsen. I think she was a porn star, but then was given a role in that horrible body horror movie.
Is going from porn star to the Human Centipede a step up?
I don't know.
Fuck no.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just lots of people with similar names, and I'm quite simple, and we'll get names mixed up often.
We've gone from Guardians to porn.
Haven't we all?
Well, we were inevitably going to get onto the porn.
I don't even know what it means. It was just a thing that I said.
Yeah.
That'll do, won't it?
That'll do.
Yeah.
Great.
That'll do, babe.
Thanks.
That was a babe reference.
That was a babe reference.
I watched that this weekend.
What?
I totally did. The original Babe.
Cool.
It's brilliant. And then I thought about Babe Pig in the City, and I thought, that
Second
movie
scares me.
was a nightmare. A literal nightmare on
that
screen.
clown dying.
I know. It was weird.
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't seen
Yeah, me
this.
too. I was just thinking.
From the director of Mad Max Fury Road.
It's all come back to haunt us.
That's something to put on the box art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Fucking bye.
This has been Shit Just Got Real. Follow us on the social medias.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Shit. Thank you. We have a Twitter, which is at SJG Real Podcast.
SJG Real Podcast. For those who didn't get that.
What? I said it clearly enough, didn't I?
We also have a Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page.
Just search for Shit Just Got Real on Facebook, and you will find us.
Also, feel free to email us at shitjustgotrealpodcast@gmail.com if you want to.
Yeah, if
Hey,
you have,
fuck you, man!
if you have any questions or just kind words or things you'd like to hear us discuss.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Get in touch. Or if you want to get in touch with me directly, I am on Twitter at JustAnIdea, without a T, just an idea. Liam?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at SalsaShark1988. Yes, it's a Clerks reference. No, I'm not proud of it.
I like that. Anyway, I'm on Twitter at Elspeth87. You can also see my blog, cinemescope.com or Women of Tech.
Cool. And I'm not on Twitter, so fuck you. I'll get it sometime.
You don't get this PR thing, do you?
I'm just going to make you a Twitter account and I'll be you. You can't stop me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get one soon. Give it a few, years.
Alright. Thank you for joining. Fucking bye.
Fucking bye.
Bye.